Hi everyone, this is David Kern with Wealthquest. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what you should do with that old 401k account that you might still have. So when you change jobs, if you participated in the previous employer's 401k plan, then you have several options as to what you do with that old 401k. You can cash it out, you can leave it where it's at, you could roll it maybe into a new 401k at your current employer, or you could roll it into an IRA, an individual retirement account. So I want to touch on each one of those briefly and talk maybe some pros and cons for each one. So cashing out your old 401k generally isn't the best option. It can be a really expensive option because when you do that, you're likely to pay ordinary income tax and a 10% penalty on that distribution. So it can just be inefficient and expensive. Now, interestingly, within the 401k rules, if an employer has an old 401k plan less than $1,000, they can just send you a check for the money and do that by default. So if you don't make any election on an old 401k that has a low balance, you may not have a choice. The second option would be to leave it where it's at. And this generally, as we see clients, this generally isn't done strategically, but it is just the path of least resistance. And so you leave your employer and the old plan just kind of gets tucked away to the side and just ends up staying there. That account can tend to be neglected both by the employer and by the person who owns the account because it's just out of sight, out of mind for them. The third option would be to roll it into a 401k at your new employer. You would have to check and make sure that the plan does allow for that, the new 401k plan. And you also want to make sure that you have good investment options within that 401k plan at your new employer and that the investment options aren't really expensive. And so you want to make sure that that is a good fit if you decide to go that route. And the fourth thing that you can do with your old 401k plan is the thing that we see most people do, which is take an old 401k and roll it into an individual retirement account in your name. This generally provides you a more vast array of investment options within your IRA, and you can control things like investment costs a little bit better through the funds that you choose. So generally, those are the four things that we see people do. There is a fifth option that is available to some people who have company stock within their old 401k. And that is called a net unrealized appreciation strategy, NUA for short. And without going too deep into the weeds, it basically means that you can take your company stock out of your 401k and put it in a taxable account. And when you do that, you're going to pay ordinary income tax on only the cost basis of those shares. And then from there, when you sell the shares inside that taxable account, you'll be subject to long-term capital gains rates, which are lower than ordinary income rates right now. So again, don't want to go too deep into the weeds there, but it is kind of a fifth strategy that we see people implement sometimes. The whole point here is to be thoughtful about those old 401k plans that you have floating around. Try to track them down, try to consolidate them into something that makes sense for you and that will allow you to grow them over time in a good, efficient way. So hope you enjoyed this video and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next time.